This is just some thoughts on love and light. So, it is a cliche, but we can only love someone to the depth that we can love ourselves, that we accept ourselves. And if we're avoiding our own shadow, or we have unintegrated shadow, which we all do to degrees, that's limiting the capacity and the shades, I suppose, the range of love. So, if you're encountering people who are very love and light, very fluffy spirituality, think positive, say your affirmations, all that's fine, but it runs its course. So ultimately at some point we'll get complete with that kind of stuff. We'll realise that its range and its depth is very limited. So people heavily invested in the love and light world can only love you or themselves to a limited capacity, a limited range. Because as soon as you present shadow to them, or they see their shadow in you, they'll close up, because they'll want to go to the love and light. They'll want to go to thinking positive, saying affirmations, looking at the nice things. And for me, if someone is to express love to me, I'm grateful for anyone's expression of love, because it's as much as they're capable of. The same with myself. It's as much as I'm able, as much as I'm aware at any given time, but there's always more to be mined and more to be explored, more depths. But it's very different to hear the expression of love from someone who is love and lighty, or someone who has a greater awareness of darkness. It's a more grounded love, it's a more balanced love, and it is more, I don't know if I'll say it is unconditional, but it's more unconditional. Because that person knows on some level that as my shadow appears, or they see their shadow in me, they're okay with degrees of that. They still accept and still love me. So that's my experience. As I can love my own shadow and embrace my own darkness, my own depression, addiction, demonic, satanic, all the hellish stuff, I'm more at peace with me, and I'm far more accepting with other people and with whatever they present. Now for me, at times people think it's best to keep some of their shadow and darkness to themselves, and it's a degree of the ego, it's a degree of shame. But that to me is my bread and butter. That's what I work with. I encounter demons and reptilians and all sorts of entities, and you don't have to believe in any of this stuff. You don't have to believe that it exists. I'm not convinced that it exists, but I do believe, or I have experienced the frequency of these things. It may just be dressed up in an image that my ego or my spirit has chosen to present to me, but what's important is the frequency. So we're still going to encounter. You don't have to agree that demons exist or believe in any of that, or other worlds, or the underworld, or hell, or Satanism, or any of that kind of thing. But I would imagine we would be in agreement that the frequency of these exist. We're going to encounter addicts. We're going to encounter people who are depressed and suicidal. From time to time they may enter your life. It could be a family member, or a friend, or a neighbour, or co-worker. You're going to encounter people who are fucking struggling, or maybe you're going to witness that within yourself. Maybe you're going to be pushed to your limits and encounter those frequencies. Now, 2 or 3 months back I was told that I am a warlock, and if you Google warlock you'll come up with all sorts of Hollywood nonsense definitions, but ultimately a warlock is someone who can travel equally between the upper world and the underworld. And that makes perfect sense to me, because that's pretty much been my last few years, has been an awful lot of time in the underworld and encountering, working with all sorts of demonic, satanic entities. Now, when I say working with, I don't mean doing satanic things or demonic things, but these beings are teachers. They are also God consciousness. And depending on what work we're doing, or how, like I'm working energetically with them to integrate the similar resonance between me and them. So if they're presented to me, why are they presented? Why is this wild panic attack like frequency or rage or terror being presented to me? It's because it is within me. There is a reflection within me. So I work with this frequency, with this being within myself, and bring this frequency home. I don't try to get rid of it. But over this time, you know, I would have seen as well that these beings are exquisitely beautiful. It's like, you know, it's like the lion or the tiger or the snake or I love crocodiles. These things are ferocious, extremely powerful, ancient, and, you know, with the right eye, extremely beautiful. Now, it's the same with looking at the world. You know, we're looking at the world and we're seeing the fires in Brazil, we're seeing climate crisis, and we have to do something, and it's just the eye. It's the eye that's looking at the world rather than the world. And sadly, you know, the vast majority of people just they've no awareness of that. There's nothing wrong in the world. The wrong or the needing to fix is your perception of the world. As we look within and clear within, believe it or not, our perception of these destructive or elite controlling the world or secret societies or whatever, our perception of all this changes. It transforms. I only can say this out of experience. Our awareness expands of what's happening here, why these things are unfolding, that it's part of a bigger picture, that it is not a problem or bad or evil. We don't have to fight back or save ourselves or any of this kind of thing. It is all us. But that involves a little bit of work within, and we only go within once we've got complete without, if that makes any sense. So the entities or demons, you know, that I have encountered and probably I'm sure will continue to encounter look like what your mind might spit up as demons, you know, things in films or on Google Images or Gothic architecture, but they resonate frequencies that are incredibly terrifying. But that's of course for us to integrate, and as we integrate this, we no longer feel that terrifying. We can witness them with utmost respect for their beauty and their role, what they present to the world, what they bring to us, what they teach us is powerful. We could not become, you know, enlightened, ascended, or any of the modern day catchphrases without these frequencies. There is a whole range. So to return to where I began, you'll notice, if you want to take this as your work for today, that observe fluffy spirituality people, or observe that world and observe the depth of that love. They might say, oh, I really, you know, hey, I really love you, I really love mankind, I really love whatever. What are they like when they're presented with the fires, the climate change, the Donald Trump, the Hillary Clinton, the whatever? Where does their frequency go? Now, if you take someone who has a bit of, and I mean real fucking experience with shadow work, my role is to really push people, eventually, consider the person with the depth. Like, even if you want to look at the Zen master or the sages or the masters that have gone before us, they're not skipping around saying love and light to humanity. They're pretty fucking grounded, and they're aware of the darkness and they're aware of the light. Escaping into either of these is unbalanced and is denying the other. So we're aiming to be bang right in the centre, to have utmost respect and awareness and understanding for the underworld, the purpose it serves, to not be afraid of it, to be able to work with it. These are our friends and teachers, just as the light side is. It's all purposeful, it's all equal and relevant. And thus, as we work towards that centre, our perception of the world and the state of the world entirely changes. You know, I'll finish on this. There is a view, in a sense, that we're here to live our best lives and to manifest all these amazing experiences, dare I say it, egoic experiences, wealth and success, and for people to love us and to look great and lose weight and all this kind of stuff. Or to be so fucking spiritual. That's not my ego at all. But as we find that centre, all that stuff starts to fall away. There's a different world. So it's, you know, as I've said, what I'm beginning to experience a depth of is that what I've said for a few years, you know, I'd written an article. If you're signed up to my newsletter, you've probably seen it because it automatically gets sent out because it's the most read article on the site. Is an article about the flat earth and the flat earth people from 2 or 3 years ago, and I was inspired by simply by them asking questions. What is this place? I'm into that. So I'm not a flat earther. I'm also not a round earther. I don't know what this place is. But what increasingly comes to me is that there are multiple earths. There are multiple planes. So the flat earther is seeing and measuring a flat earth. That is his reality. The round earther is seeing and measuring a round earther. So my point is that as I change and my frequency and my being changes, although this is the same world, in a sense, the same physical world that it was a few years ago, it's very different. My understanding and awareness of it is very different from what it used to be. And right now, to be honest, I have no words to describe what that is. I'm completely drawn a blank. So maybe in time I'll be able to go a bit further with it. It's the same world, but it's completely different at the same time. So it's the feeling that there are multiple worlds. Have I moved to another world? Is it the same world, but my frequency and perception is completely different? I don't know at this point. Anyway, I hope that was of use. If these videos and Instagram articles and whatnot, if they nurture your spirit, if they give you something to think about, if they feed you a little bit, consider making a donation. There's a PayPal button below. It helps me to pay for my ceremonies, my travel, and the time and money that I put into this work. A cup of coffee, the price of a cup of coffee, or a magazine that you would buy, or whatever. Feel free to, reciprocate or move your energy in my direction and vice versa. Anyway, thanks for listening, and enjoy your day. Be well.